Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, did you know that dogs can't operate an MRI? But cats can. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Wyrmspan from Stonemaier Games.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
In Wyrmspan from Stonemaier Games, 1 to 5 players take on the roles of amateur dracologists. Didn't know that was a thing. But essentially, you're trying to create the greatest habitat for your dragons, build them the best caves, get all sorts of goodies and advantages, and score the most points. Now, there's a round tracker board that's going to have space for 4 different possible ways to score. Essentially, you're going to have many more possible ways. You're going to draw 4, put them on the board there. You're also going to have 1 Dragon Guild board. And again, there are multiple different Dragon Guild scoring options, and you're going to pick one of those or select one randomly and place that in the middle of the Dragon Guild board as well. Each player is going to go ahead and take their own player board. This has 3 different levels of dragon caves that you can build during the course of the game. You're also going to start with certain resources. There's a lot of different resources in this game. At the start of the game, you're going to have some excavation cards and dragon cards. You're going to decide which ones you want to keep, put the rest back, and then you guys are ready to roll. Now, essentially, on your turn, you can do one of 3 things. You can excavate, meaning you can pay a coin, and you get like 6 coins at the beginning of the round. You can never have more than 9. But you go ahead, you pay a coin, and you take the excavate action. You move your meeple from the camp to the excavate action, which means you can play an excavate card. These are little small square cards that you play in the different caves to make them deeper. Because your dragons can occupy the first space in all the caves, but you want to get those caves deeper in order so that they can live further down there, and that requires you to spend, or rather take this excavate action to build deeper caves. Now, when you lay down an excavate card, many of these will have an immediate action. So immediately you can take resources or other cards or do other fun and interesting things. Now, the second action you can do is entice. Again, you put a coin down, you move your meeple to the entice action. And this means you can place a dragon card in that cave. Now, in addition to paying the coin, there are also certain costs associated with that dragon. So you have to pay those costs, either in resource items or in eggs. You will pay that cost to place the dragon down. Now, again, there are lots of different kinds of dragons. Dragons have different traits, and they also have point values that you put down that you'll score at the end of the game. But you place these dragons down, and again, they may have immediate abilities that come into play. They may have kind of other kinds of abilities, like the Explore abilities, which I'll discuss in a minute. So there's different kinds of things that will be associated with that. And you may have hatchlings that give you all sorts of different kinds of things you can do with that card. Now, the third thing you can do on your turn is you can take an explore action. Essentially, you move your meeple to the explore phase. Now, the first time you do it, it's a coin. Then it's going to become more expensive, and you're not just spending coins. You're also spending eggs. But you're only doing that, you're only increasing the costs if you go to the same cave multiple times in a round. Otherwise, it just costs you, 1 to go to each, or however you want to do it. Now, with the explore action, what you are doing is you are moving your meeple along the different dragons. Now, In between the dragons, you will see little explore figures, and these tell you things that if you go there, you can gain a different resource, or you can gain a different card, or you can move up on the guild. More on that later. But you essentially keep moving forward along those spaces and collecting everything it tells you can collect until you come to the stop sign. When you hit the stop sign, you cannot advance any further. That's as far as you can go in that cave. Now, as I mentioned, you have the guild board. Every time you get a guild symbol during your explore action, you can move one space forward on the guild board. Now, again, as you're moving along the board, the sides of the board, you can gain resources and other funky things. But when you get to the bottom or the top of the guild board, you can place a cube in the center there, in that guild board card you've selected, which allows you to score in certain ways or get a certain amount of resources. It allows you to do all sorts of fun and interesting things, but only one person, generally speaking, can claim one of those things. Now, at the end of a round, players are going to go ahead and they're going to discard all the coins and eggs on their Explorer track. They're going to get rid of those. They are then going to trigger any kind of once per turn abilities, timed abilities on any of their cards that are on the board. Players are then going to look at that round's objective. Whoever scored the most on that objective will get the most points, and if it's tied, that they will share that level of points. But otherwise, the second person will get a slightly less point advantage, etc., etc. At the beginning of the next round, the round marker is going to move one space to the right. You're going to refresh all of the dragon cards and excavation cards that are out there. Each player is going to gain 6 coins and 1 egg, and the first player marker is going to move one space. Now, at the end of the last round, players are going to go ahead and they're going to score. Now, of course, they're looking at the score for all of the round objectives. They're going to look at all of the face-up dragon cards they've got. Some of the cards have gotten tucked underneath, or they've got resources. They've banked on the cards. I can't remember the term for it. You're going to see if there's any end-game scoring abilities. You're going to add up all your eggs and get a point for them. You're going to get a point for every coin you have. For every 4 resources you have, you will get a point. You're going to add all of that together, and whoever has the most points wins. Wyrmspan. So about 3 or 4 years ago, the good people at Stonemaier Games sent me a copy of Wyrmspan. Now, I had no desire to play Wyrmspan. It did not look interesting to me at all. The theme did nothing for me. I was not interested in Wyrmspan. I was not excited for it. Out of the blue, Stonemaier Games contacted me. They asked me if I wanted to review it. And just being one of those guys that was curious about the hype, and I like to have different kind of gaming experiences, I said, okay, yeah, I'll try it. And I couldn't believe how much fun it was. I really enjoyed Wyrmspan. That was one of those ultimate pleasant surprise games. It was so much more fun than I thought it was going to be. Really, really enjoyed that quite a bit. Wyrmspan, when it came out, it was kind of the same thing. I wasn't so sure I wanted to play it because to me it just looked like another iteration of Wyrmspan. It looked kind of like the same game. And I was like, well, I've already got Wyrmspan. But again, they reached out to me, asked me if I'd like to review it. And I said, yeah, okay, sure. So they sent it to me. So I got this to the table, played it. My first game was a 3-player game, and with Ray and Mike, and we went ahead. We set the game up, and immediately I'm thinking, well, this looks just like Wyrmspan. And we start playing it, and it does feel a lot like Wyrmspan, but it feels like it was a lot more streamlined in a lot of areas. It eliminates some of the things. You don't have the dice, for instance. And it kind of felt like it was the Wyrmspan experience without a lot of the fiddliness that came with Wyrmspan. Now, I'll be blunt, I still like Wyrmspan a lot. But this game works, in my opinion, so much better. It's a quicker game, super easy game to learn and teach. There's only 3 actions you take on your turn, but within those 3 actions, there are worlds of choices and possibilities. And it was so much fun. I just enjoyed the whole thing so much. And so did my friends. And one thing I like about this game, in the games I played, I've just played 3-player and 2-player games, but one thing I found is in every game I played, it has been super tight. I think there was maybe a 10-point spread in the first game I played. I think I won with like 93 points, and the other guy was like 83. So it was pretty tight there. I played a 2-player game with Kim, and the first time we played, and she beat me by 1 point. This game is does such a good job in balancing, because you can be chasing things and trying to win in one way. Somebody else is trying to win in another way. But when you get to the point scoring, it gets close. It gets tight. And so it's really, really fun. And I love games that are consistently tight games. And all the games here I played have been consistently tight. Really, really like Wyrmspan. There's so much here. And again, it's very, very Euro-y, but it's so simple and easy and fun. And I really got a kick out of it. Again, games like this, they're not games I can play all the time, but when I do play them, I have a blast. And I had a blast with this, definitely going into the collection. In fact, I think I'm going to end up donating Wyrmspan. I think I'm going to end up giving that to the library, and I'm going to keep Wyrmspan. I think it's the better of the two games. Don't get me wrong. Still love Wyrmspan. Still think Wyrmspan is phenomenal, but Wyrmspan is better in my opinion. It's such a good game, and every time everybody I played with has loved it, including myself. So recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Wyrmspan is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, I'd ask you to please leave a comment here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. I'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. I'd ask you to please subscribe to that channel. It would mean a lot to me. Also, please leave a thumb for this video on Board Game Geek, and if you are a fan of the channel, if you like the content we bring you, I'd humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. You know, I hate elevator music. It's bad on so many levels.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love the
And now, a mummy dancing.